What's up everybody? So today we have another review video, this time for a camera that I've used for a couple years now and I still use to this day. Today we're going to be talking about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. It's a BMPCC 4K. Yeah, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera 4K. It is a mouthful and this camera is insanely good quality, but it's not without its limitations. And it is a little bit older. So there's some things that you should know about it. If you're in the market looking for one of these in 2024, then just understand that yes, this camera is dope. And if you know what you're doing, you can get amazing results out of this. And for video, this is really the only camera you would ever need. I bought this originally after I had my Canon for a little while. I wanted a camera that was more dedicated specifically for video, and nothing really compares to what a Blackmagic camera does at that price range. Real quick before we get started, if you guys like what you see, be sure to please like, subscribe, do all the things. Really helps the channel out. And I know I haven't made a video in a while. As you can see, we have a whole new set this time. It's been a hectic couple of months. I'd like to pretend that I know that this is kind of the final place, but let's just be real. Stuff changes and you got to kind of roll with the punches. So first things first, with the Blackmagic 4K, this thing is a micro four thirds sensor. Now there's good and bad things about that. Realistically, you can basically slap any lens in the world on this. All you need is an adapter. And what most people do with the 4K is immediately they're gonna slap an EF speed booster on there. You can run any of your EF lenses and it's the same as shooting on like a Super 35 sensor like the one that I'm using right now. Cool thing about that is with the speed booster and the way the math works out is it's actually a little bit more coverage on a lens than a traditional Super 35. It's actually kind of nice. I always used it. But you can also run micro four thirds lenses. One of the coolest things that when I first got it, I was like, oh wait, so Sirui has those anamorphic lenses I talked about in a past video. By the way, go check that out after this one. I love those lenses. I still love those lenses. I will always use those lenses. But those are micro four thirds mount lenses and you can put those on the 4K, no problem. Without going too deep in the weeds on the micro four thirds sensor, basically what that means is any lens that you're used to using on a full frame camera, if you're not using a speed booster on it, the math for it is pretty simple. So if you have a 24mm lens on a full frame and you put that on a micro four thirds lens, then it's a 2x multiplier. Side note, one thing to always remember, the f-stop number that you're used to using, 501.8 lens, then that 2x multiplier that you also did to the focal length, you've got to do the math on that as well. So a 1.8 is technically a 3.6 on a micro four thirds. What ends up happening is you have less sensor, therefore you have less light that hits the sensor, and it's just, it messes with depth of field and everything. Running it stock, you'll have less bokeh, I don't know, whatever people say. But you'll have less blurry backgrounds on a micro four thirds sensor than you would on, say, a Super 35 or a full frame. But with that speed booster, again, remember, you're getting all the advantages of a Super 35. It's just kind of like focused in on the micro four thirds sensor. Yeah, just use it. And I'm sure I've run some clips showing you like it is possible to get some really cool stuff out of it. Another obvious selling point with the Blackmagic cameras is their RAW codec. Now, is it the typical red RAW that everyone is so hyped about with red cameras? No, it is technically not fully RAW, but it's about as close to RAW as you can get without actually being RAW. And especially when you're talking about codecs being recorded internally in a camera. Now, I use my Zcam. In order to get raw footage out of this, I have to use the Blackmagic Video Assist on top of this camera just to be able to get some of the same perks. Now, everything that it can do, this Blackmagic camera does, and it's all internal and it's all just a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, a lot quicker to work with. Side note, if you don't buy it used, you get a new in the box. You also get DaVinci Resolve, which, spoiler alert, is my favorite video editing software out there. You get it free with the camera, so it's like a $300 software just kind of slapped in there as well. Also, another really great thing about these guys is the fact that they have what's called dual native ISO. What that is when you record, and I believe the Blackmagic's is 1250. If you record in RAW under 1250, you can adjust your ISO from there. Once you step up over that 1250 mark though, basically the noise that you start getting, that digital artifacting, that digital noise that you get from raising the gain or raising the ISO, it resets. So 1000 ISO is a lot more noisy than say 1500 ISO. And if you compare those all the way up, it's pretty impressive. Blackmagic, for a micro four thirds camera, especially once you've got the adapter and you're letting more light in, this thing is kind of a low light monster for And for the, like I said, I keep coming back to the price that it costs. The thing kicks ass. No Blackmagic review is complete without having a list of cons to go along with the camera. And for the price range, you're not gonna get the perfect camera, ever. Really, you're never gonna get the perfect camera in general, but moving on. The biggest thing that you have to remember, I think you can get one of these, you can get them used right now for like $800 to $1,000, but you do get what you pay for in certain areas. Quality-wise, hell no, you're getting $3,000 to $5,000 worth of camera, picture image-wise. However, the sacrifices that they choose to make are things like battery life. Let's just be real. Anybody who's ever used a Blackmagic camera, or Blackmagic anything for that matter, my Video Assist has really weird readings on the battery, and I just, because of having this, I just don't trust the battery reading, so I'm constantly stressing over that. But when I say these cameras eat batteries, this thing uses an EF, just uses the regular Canon EF battery. I thought it was really cool. It uses the same battery, the EF, I think it's L6 or whatever, but it's the same battery that my R6 uses. So I was like, oh, dope, I've got like 4 batteries. I'll be okay. And then I started shooting with it and I realized, dude, you're getting like 15 minutes of recording time before that entire battery is dead. Put in perspective, I've shot an entire music video on 1 battery on my R6. And it's the same battery that I took from that thing and put it in the Blackmagic. Shit was terrible. But on top of that, the storage that it uses, if you've seen my Zcam video, what's the #1 type of storage that I hate? Yes, CF Express. This uses CF Express. It is so expensive per gigabyte, and it's not necessary. So Blackmagic knew that, and they did one of the coolest things I've seen in cameras, and I'm so glad this was the first camera that I had seen it done, and then I got my Zcam, they do the same thing. It has the ability, you just plug in an SSD hard drive, USB-C straight into the camera, and rather than recording to a memory card in here, no, you mount your SSD on top, it goes. I would show you what that looks like, but I've actually got the same mount that I used to use on that camera as on my Zcam now, and I always use the SanDisk Extreme. I think I had a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte. All of those I know work. Beyond that, good luck. Mileage may vary. Having the ability to record externally is great. Another thing that is kind of hard to work with these guys, it's got a dope screen. The menu system with Blackmagic is always touted as like one of the best menu systems, and I gotta agree, it's pretty straightforward. Like what you want is, you know, if you held your phone up to this, you kind of realize like, holy shit, that screen is pretty much the size of an iPhone, or I don't know, when it came out, it was almost exactly the same size, but it's a good size touchscreen. Now here's the problem, on the Blackmagic 4K, the 6K, I think it took them until like the 6K Pro that they didn't have the articulating screens on it. And even then it's just like, like it doesn't actually like come out, it doesn't fold out. Blackmagic's not doing that. I think with their newest box cams that they've just started coming out with, they're finally introducing that. And if I'm not mistaken, even those have a really weird placed screen on the side of them. But for this guy, screen, no movie. Anyways, no, the screen does not move, okay? So what that means is it almost immediately makes it necessary. You've got to get an external monitor on this thing. Now, you've got a full-size HDMI port. You can see it on the side on this, but this thing just plugs in. It's just a little L clamp. It's great. You have a full-size HDMI out coming out the side of this thing, and it just makes it a lot easier. You don't have to run like the tiny, like I remember with my R6, it has like the micro HDMI, and those things break fast. But this, I've never had any issues with it. I will say, for all of the additions that you need to make to these cameras, the connectors are pretty damn reliable. I did this, the little L mount on the side, just because it made it a lot, you know, just more ergonomic and clean. The camera is completely usable. However, you need to add things to it. Also, the final big downside of these cameras, there's no autofocus. So if you're someone who's used to coming from the DSLR or mirrorless world, you know, you're used to having autofocus. Blackmagic does not have that. They have a weird, I think it's like, you know, before you start the shot or before you start recording, it will grab autofocus one time and then it doesn't work after that. It's not useful in the least. I think the entire time I've had this camera, I've never used that feature. But as long as you understand that it's intended to be used as a cinema camera, and cinema lenses typically do not have autofocus to begin with, you're gonna be fine. Understand you're making some sacrifices to shave $3,000 to $5,000 off the price of the camera that you would get in order to get that image quality of the pros. You get that out of this. You know, you just gotta work around it. It's not hard to work around, by the way. I built out the cage. You do need, I don't believe I mentioned it earlier, but using an external battery, because this thing, like I said, it eats batteries for breakfast. Using a V-mount battery is a necessity with these things, or gold mount, whatever you prefer. Using an external battery is a necessity. Using an external monitor is a necessity. Using external storage is not a necessity. However, it's just cheaper and kind of smarter in my opinion. And plus, once you start gearing this all out, it really helps balance the rig out a lot better. But overall, for what you're getting out of the camera, the actual video files, which, let's be real, that's the only thing that truly matters in this equation. Nothing, and I mean nothing at this price range comes close to the quality that it gets. Side note, make sure you get a good quality adapter. Be smart and understand that, hey, you get what you pay for. Overall, this thing's awesome. I love this camera so much. I would never trade it for the world. I am actually, because I do have the Z-Cam now, this thing is going to be my stream camera. So if you guys want to check me out over on Twitch, I will have a link for that in the description below. I'm gonna be streaming live, probably just play some video games, hang out, just chat. I know that I've got some other projects in the work right now, and I'll be talking about those in future videos, hopefully. Yeah, this camera is still gonna be a workhorse for me. It's just not gonna be working for me on music video sets. It is great on documentary sets, having this as like a B cam for my Z cam. Blackmagic B cam. Anyways, you're in the market for a cinema camera, you don't have a whole lot of money to blow, get one of these. Just plan on, when you do buy it, plan on needing to spend like $400 to $500 extra on whatever you do spend on the accessories. As long as you know that you're getting yourself into that, you're gonna be fine. If you get blindsided by it, it sucks and you'll hate this camera real fast. But trust me, you will love your end product 1,000 times more using this than another $1,200 camera. So again, guys, if you guys like what you see, please be sure to like, subscribe, do all the things, ring the bell, make sure you got future notifications enabled for these videos. I'm gonna be rolling out a lot more. I've got, like I said, I've got a lot of projects that I haven't talked about on this channel yet that are coming out. All right, guys, catch you in the next one. Peace.